Hello students and welcome back to the Civics class of Standard 7. In this module, we will learn about the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution, Part 2, presented by Sara Pereira. Right to freedom of religion. India, we know, is an important secular country in the world. We have studied it in the previous classes. But you must be curious to know what the Indian Constitution says about it, isn't it? It is included in our right to freedom of religion. According to it, each Indian citizen is free to practice any religion and to establish institutions for religious reasons. Okay, when we say that a person is free to practice any religion, that means that even if a person is born in a particular religion, for example, say if a person is born a Hindu, born a Muslim, born a Christian, but still that person has right to change his religion as per his choice. So every person has right to choose the religion of his choice, and he can practice that religion according to his wish. Nobody can force him and nobody can stop him. And another thing is uh, establish institutions for religious reasons. We have institutions like we have madrasas where the students are taught Quran. We have institutions, we have schools, colleges of particular religion. Okay, and these schools or colleges or different religious institutions that we call, these are freely operating because we have right to establish them and we have right to teach our religion uh, to our generation. In order to broaden the scope of right to freedom of religion, two things are not permitted. First thing is, the state cannot impose religious taxes that might be used to encourage particular religion. That is, our constitution forbids religious taxes. In our country, we know that there are many minority religions. Okay, and when this type there are taxes put on the religious practices, or if the religious activities are to be conducted with paying taxes, then it does not allow any particular religion to function freely and function smoothly. And then people will think of changing or getting converted. So this is indirectly pressurizing the people. And so the state, it does not allow any kind of taxes or imposing any kind of taxes on the people, or any kind of religious taxes for pilgrimage area also. In our country, people move from one place to other most of the time for religious purposes. And when this movement is done freely, only then we give them equal rights to uh, enjoy their religion or follow their religion practices. And that's why the state does not impose any religious tax. And the second thing is, religious education cannot be made compulsory in educational institutions that receive aid from the state. Receiving aid from the state is receiving grants from the state. Many states are aided, many institutions, educational institutions are aided, or we call them government schools, government colleges. Why? Because the salaries are paid by the government. The students are not paying any fees because that is also allowed by the government. So in this kind of government schools and colleges, the students cannot be forced or they cannot be given any religious education. So this is another thing, because it is of the government, the institution belongs to the government, so there nobody can be forced to follow any particular religion. We usually have assemblies in school. Every school has assembly, but this is a very good thing. Okay, it's always good to start the day with peaceful meditation and all, but it should be secular. It should be done keeping in mind that there are children or there are students from different religion, okay, students of different backgrounds, and this type of assemblies cannot be one sided. This assemblies cannot be of one religion alone in the schools and colleges especially. Okay, it should be open for all. It should be secular minded. Students should be uh, allowed to pray to their own gods irrespective of whichever school they are going to. Cultural and educational rights. We can see that there is a great diversity of festivals, food, and ways of life in our country. You may have noticed the differences in the different wedding ceremonies that you attended. All these things are part of the cultures of different communities. Our constitution has given the different communities the right to preserve their cultural uniqueness. According to this right, people are not only free to preserve their own language, script, and literature, but also make efforts towards their promotion. They can establish institutions for the development of their language. Okay, in every part of our country, every state has its own culture. We see diversity. We know that India is a diverse country. Every state has different dressing style or different food habits, different language, different type of wedding ceremonies. The wedding ceremonies also differ in one particular state. Also there are different types of wedding ceremonies that we see, and all this cultural difference is something that makes our country beautiful, that makes our country unique from the rest of the countries from the whole world. And we therefore have this right to maintain cultural and educational policies or whatever teachings are there in a particular language. Every language also is unique, every language is different. In our country we have so many languages, and also these languages have traditional folk tales, they have folk songs, and we should preserve them all, because nowadays when students are mostly speaking foreign languages, they are speaking English. So these traditional languages of our country are somewhere getting neglected, and with the passing generations these languages are also getting disappeared. We need to speak our language, we need to know our language, and especially the tales or the songs which were passed on from generation to generation should be preserved, should be maintained, because after few years after now these songs will not be known by anybody. The next generation, the future generations will also maybe not know the languages, the local languages, the dialects, the mother tongue of different state, that they will not know because they will be all speaking foreign language. That's why the government also, it encourages the people of our nation to speak their language, to preserve their language, and also promote their language, educate the children. For that purpose, if they have to establish institutions also, the government is allowing. And in the new education policy also, now the government is going to include this type of subjects where the local dialects or where this folk tales, folk songs will be preserved and passed on from generation to generation. This cultural habits, this cultural styles, okay, many old traditional beliefs, old traditional customs, if they all are gone and everything becomes modern, then we lose the essence of our nation, we lose the beauty of our nation, we lose the grace or the true sense of our tradition, because India is a traditional country. Many people from different countries, they come in our country only because they are attracted to the traditions, the cultures, and the colorfulness of our country. So, the cultural aspect is a very important aspect of our nation, which needs to be preserved, which needs to be passed on from generation to generation. And so this is also linked with educational right, because this is also home education that needs to be given to the young kids who are born now. They should be taught about our language, our culture, our tradition, our scriptures, and our literature, okay, which were passed on from so many generation, but which are now somewhere getting lost. So it becomes very necessary to maintain this laws, maintain these cultures, in order to maintain the diversity of our nation. Right to constitutional remedies. In case of encroachment of fundamental rights, the Indian citizens' right to get judicial remedies is also a fundamental right. This is called the right to constitutional remedies. Okay, when we started with the lesson, or in the previous module, that some people, they fight for their rights, they hold placards, they hold banners, and they fight for their rights. Why? Because they have this right to claim for the constitutional remedies, the judicial remedies. This is called the right to constitutional remedies. This means the constitution itself has provided for legal remedies in case of people's rights get violated. So it becomes a constitutional duty of the courts to protect the rights of the people. Sometimes the rights that are guaranteed to us by the constitution may get encroached upon, and we are not able to exercise our rights. Encroached upon is what? Sometimes we don't know what our rights are. Sometimes our rights are getting violated. Sometimes we get afraid to raise voices. Sometimes we neglect it. Sometimes we ignore. In all this situation, what happens is we are not able to exercise our rights. This is called an infringement of our rights. The court considers our complaints. It investigates, and in case it is convinced that the rights have been indeed been infringed upon and injustice has been done to the aggrieved individual, the court gives an appropriate verdict. So, in any situation, if we are claiming that our rights are violated, if we raise our voice, then the court has to look into the matter. We also have right to information into this. Many a times we want to ask something, we want questions, that why this is not happening, or why this has happened. So we can file a complaint of RTI, right to information, and under this the government has to, or whomever, against whomever we are filing this complaint, they have to get back to us, they have to give us the information, they have to answer to us. Okay, and this is how we enjoy the right to information also. If we are facing any kind of injustice, then the court, it definitely, first it has to accept our complaint, and then it will investigate, it will see to it that actually, is there actually any kind of infringement that is happening or no, or are people actually getting affected. All these things, they have to look into the matter. Okay, and then if they are convinced, if they understand that yes, this person is definitely, or this person is actually facing a problem, then the government will definitely give, uh, provide justice and give a verdict that is on our side. So this is how, um, we enjoy our rights, and that is called right to constitutional remedies. Remedies is help. So we are always, because the government is for us, it is for the people. If the people need help, then the government will never say that no, we are busy and we don't want to help you. The government will definitely consider all the crimes of the people, And if actually it is a genuine case, then the government will definitely do all the things possible to provide whatever justice has to be given. Now, let us also look at some instances of infringement of rights. Infringement is what? Where our rights are getting violated. First is arresting an individual without reason. If for any purpose any of your enemies or any of your neighbor has filed a complaint against you, and the police, they come and they arrest you without reason, or without even finding the actual reason, actual cause, then you have right to claim for the constitutional remedies. You can ask for investigation, you can ask the court to conduct investigation and find out whether you're actually a victim, you're actually a culprit or no, or whether you have actually done anything wrong or no. So this is how, this is one case where you can claim for constitutional remedies. Another is preventing a person from leaving a village or a town without giving a valid reason. Okay, so when a person cannot be forced to leave a town or a place without any reason. Nobody can have any personal grudges, and for that personal grudges they cannot pull anybody in the court unnecessarily. You need to have reason for everything. Next is refusing food, water or medicines to jail inmates. In jail also, even if that person is a big criminal, that person has to be given time to time food, medicines or water. You cannot it cannot be said that this person is a criminal, he has killed so many people, let him die without water, let him die without food. So this cannot, because that person has right to live. So in that case also, even if that person is in jail, even if that person is a big criminal, he can also claim for the right to constitutional remedies in cases where he is refused water, food or medicines. Okay, so this was all about the right to constitutional remedies. Writs as constitutional remedies. Courts have powers to issue various kinds of writs to protect the rights of citizens. Habeas corpus. Protection from unlawful arrest and detection. Habeas corpus is where you cannot be arrested unlawfully, and you cannot be detention is where you are put into jail, or you are given some kind of restriction that cannot be done until and unless it is proved in the court that you are a victim, or that you are a culprit. Okay, every crime has to be proved in the court. Every crime or whatever, for whichever reason a person is arrested, that has to be proved in the court with proofs, with witnesses and with all the necessary stuff. It has to be proved, and only then a person can be given further punishment. Before that, if a person is punished, before that if a person is kept in the jail and is not granted bail, then that person can definitely claim for constitutional remedy. Next is mandamus, the order of the courts, the Supreme Court or the High Court, commanding the government to perform an action that is its duty to perform in public interest. Okay, the mandamus is the order of the court, and this order is to whom? To the government. It is to the government, commanding them to perform an action that is its duty. Because many a times we see, this is usually shown on the videos also, that the police, the government, they take their rights in a wrong way. Okay, they make wrong use of their rights, they exploit people, they start beating people. And sometimes in this case, if a person is if he has not done anything wrong, still he gets punished. So this is how the duty of the government is not fulfilled in a just manner, and so it is very necessary. So this mandamus is an order of the court, the Supreme Court and the High Court, commanding the government to perform an action that is its duty to perform in public interest. It should be for the people, It should be for the betterment of the people and not for anything else. Then is prohibition, to prevent a subordinate court from exceeding its jurisdiction. Okay, sometimes in a subordinate courts we can call as the domestic courts, the family courts that are there. Now, in this kind of courts, whatever decision or whatever verdict has to be given, if a particular date is given, it has to be the hearing has to be done on that particular date. It cannot be simply exceeded. The jurisdiction, the decision giving process should not be exceeded, because what happens is then the person who is victimized is not getting justice on time. So prohibition is where every case has to be dealt on the given time. The verdict has to be given immediately without any kind of delay. Fourth point is quo warranto, to restrain a person from acting in an office to which he is not entitled. This happens in some cases where some people, they they work in an office where they are not entitled to, because what some officers, they they take the job and then they put some other people, they place some other people in their place to work, and then they never go to work. This happens in some cases where this is kind of a cheating which is done in the government offices, especially where people don't actually go to work but they send somebody else in their place to work. That is under quo warranto, where this kind of behavior is not allowed. Then certiorari, to order the removal of a lawsuit from a subordinate court to a superior court. Okay, removal of a lawsuit from a subordinate court to the superior court whenever it is any kind of decision is not given in one particular area, from the subordinate court, it can be removed to the superior court. Because the fundamental rights are thus protected by the courts, citizens are able to exercise their rights. They can fulfill their roles as alert, responsible, and active citizens. While considering fundamental rights, we also need to remember our duties. And with this, we finish our lesson. I hope you understood the lesson. Thank you.